Hi, I'm Sam with JBER Life, and I'm here with Randy, a lead guide with the Outdoor Adventure Program, and today he's going to answer some of your cold weather safety questions. Hi Randy, how's it going?
It's going very well, thank you.
All right, so let's just jump right on into it. Our first question is, what are some common misconceptions about cold weather from people that are new to Alaska?
Well, there's many misconceptions about being here in Alaska during the cold months, but what I'd say the primary one is that there's just nothing to do. Everyone thinks that they need to hunker down, stay inside during November, December, January, February, March, and they're going to gain all this weight. They're going to have cabin fever and order everything off Amazon. It just doesn't work that way. There's a lot to do. We're very fortunate to be stationed or living in Anchorage, Alaska, because it is a sub-temperate climate versus the cold climate up north in Fairbanks and Eielson. So what there is to do outside, you got fat tire biking, cross-country skiing. Our trail system in Anchorage is still maintained by the city, so they do pat down the trails for fat tire biking. The cross-country ski trails here are just endless. You've got general hiking, you've got winter camping, snow machining, and not only that, but OAP does offer a lot of these trips that you can go on with us during the winter months.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So now you gave us like some of the misconceptions. Now, what are some tips that you can give parents about having their kids play outside and keeping safe and warm?
Well, the first thing is just make sure they're in the right gear. One of the biggest things I see is kids going outside in the wrong footwear or not having the right jacket on or no hat, no gloves. And that's a real recipe for disaster, especially playing in wet snow. The wind can come up and really chill a small person's body. So just having the right gear, having the right winter boots, the right traction devices, that's very important. Some of our most accidents that happen to us are during the winter months with slips and falls. And it can happen to adults as well as kids. Just getting out of the car and stepping wrong without a traction device on is a recipe for a dislocated elbow or a dislocated shoulder or something wrong with the back, or even worse, concussion. So having a good traction device on the bottom of proper footwear is critical. Of course, bundling them up and then checking on them, not leaving them out all day in the cold, but checking on them and giving them lots of high energy foods so that they have the calories to burn while they're outside playing in the cold.
With prolonged exposures to cold temperatures, what are some signs that we need to be aware of so we can end up staying outside and having a good time?
Yeah, so some of the signs and symptoms of like frostbite, for instance, would be just the cold numbness of the fingertips, the ears, the nose, the cheeks. It can kind of like be a white, waxy feeling of that skin. Basically, frostbite is nothing more than just freezing of the skin. So anytime a prolonged exposure to cold weather will bring on frostbite if they aren't protected well, especially in a cold, damp, windy scenario. So if you're out skiing or you're out snowshoeing or you're out fat tire biking and it's cold and it's wet out and you got moisture in the air, and then you bring in that wind so that wind chill really drops, that's a real recipe for frostbite. And seeing those signs can really help you identify that at an early stage so it doesn't progress. You can, advance into hyperthermia, mild hyperthermia, and basically what you're doing there is you're lowering the core body temperature to a point where you're shivering uncontrollably. You might have what we call the mumbles or the umbles or the stumbles. You can't talk correctly, you can't really walk correctly, and that's basically your body is signaling that I have dropped my core body temperature so low that I'm in dire need of emergency or warming up immediately.
So with us being outside more, we're also going to be traveling more and in our cars. What is an essential thing to have in our car?
Okay, so I like to think of the car kit as two separate kits. One, you have a small bag, duffel bag, even a small backpack with your general personal items. That would be maybe a pair of winter boots like the Sorels that are really warm. If you have to walk anywhere in deep snow, you're not going to want to walk in your regular shoes that you have on. So keeping a good pair of winter boots in your car all winter is critical. Also keeping other personal items such as an extra puffy jacket or fleece jacket, an extra pair of socks or two built for the winter conditions, like a pair of thick wool socks. At least a pair, if not two for those. Extra mittens or extra gloves, an extra hat, maybe some toe warmers, some hand warmers. It's also really nice to keep a couple of Nalgene bottles empty in there. So if you were stranded somewhere, you could melt snow technically for drinking to stay hydrated. Other things that people might want to put in that kit, are some food supplies if they're going to go on a road trip. It says, say, Talkeetna, or if you want to drive over to the Chugach Mountains near Hatcher Pass, or even down to Seward. It seems like a simple process to drive down to these because it's all on the road, but most of these places don't have cell coverage after a certain period of time or distance, and if you run into the ditch, the traffic just isn't going to be there like in the summertime to rescue you. So you've got to really maintain your own self-sufficiency and self-reliance. In that personal kit, you also might want to throw, like I said, some food staples in there, canned food, chips, something that is going to get you by so that you're not out without food for 24, 48 hours in your personal kit there. Also, think of your other kit as your vehicle recovery kit. Don't count on that manufacturer's jack or that manufacturer's spare tire of always being prepared, all right? If you have a vehicle that you have modified, maybe say you lifted your Jeep or you lifted your truck, or you've got a car that might have some underbody work or something like that, you're gonna want a different type of jack or even a different type of spare tire to match the 4 spare tires. It does you no good to put larger tires on your rig and then not to change out that spare tire, because it's not a matter of if you're going to get a flat tire, but when you get a flat tire. If you're driving on the road, you're going to get a flat tire eventually sometime, and having that spare tire that matches the other 4 tires is critical. Also in that vehicle recovery kit, having jumper cables, having a pair of good leather gloves to work on outside the car for changing that tire. Leather gloves are critical because what they do, they block the cold from hitting your hands. If you're working with a pair of fleece gloves or a pair of the mechanics gloves for the summertime, that's going to soak up that cold and soak up that moisture real fast and make your hands very cold where you might not be able to operate changing that tire or fixing your car on the side. Road flares, duct tape, any zip ties of all different sizes, large zip ties, small zip ties, maybe a couple of hose clamps, anything that you think would come in handy for your specific vehicle should be in your vehicle recovery kit, not your personal kit.
All right, makes sense. And then to wrap things all up, why is it important for everyone to know about cold weather safety?
Well, it's important for everyone to know about cold weather safety because everyone is stationed here or living here right now. So it does really no good to put that off or say, well, I'm not going to ever go out. I'm not going to ever be in this situation. You can get into a bad situation just driving from here to Eagle River. Now, granted, there would be cell phone coverage and plenty of traffic maybe to help you out, and you wouldn't need a full-on survival kit, so to speak. But you still want to be self-reliant and self-sufficient if you do get into a situation. It's really important that everyone has a good, fun, safe time while in Alaska during the winter, and it's easy to do with the right equipment, the right knowledge, and the right gear.
All right. We want to say thank you again to Rainey from Outdoor Adventure Program for giving us some good cold weather safety tips. Thank you.
Thank you.